Welcome. Today we're going to go over a short sequence focusing on triangle pose, Trikonasana. This is a standing pose, a wide angle stance, and it's a great stretch for the legs, the back, the muscles along the spinal column, but also it's a strengthener. So there's a flexibility and strengthening happening in this work you'll be doing. So go ahead and stand up, give yourself a bit of space around you in which to work. This is a suitable variation for beginners. So please try this and see how it feels. And we'll start by getting set up. And as you're getting set up, I want to remind you to always work within your level of comfort, maintain an even breath as you go. So stand with your feet hip width apart, parallel, soften your knees, and keep your gaze forward. If that's comfortable, you can keep your gaze focused on one point in front of you, or soften your gaze by closing your eyes or looking down towards the floor. So you want to kind of fix your gaze in some way, draw your awareness inward, and connect to how your body's feeling right now. Without any expectation or judgment, just notice how you're feeling and connect to the flow of your breath. Get a sense of the gentle movement of your abdomen as you breathe. Breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. Now maintaining your connection to your body and to your breath, lift your gaze if you've closed your eyes, and just kind of shake things out. Get your feet kicking forward, shake your arms out, get your arms and legs moving, and then march in place. I'm going to get a bit of circulation going. Doesn't have to be a big lift in the feet or the legs. You can just get your legs moving whatever way is accessible. Hold on to support if you need it. And then come back to stand. Now, if you are working on a mat, turn to face the long edge of the mat. It's okay if you don't have a mat. Just have a stance that's wide enough that you can feel that you're kind of stable, okay? You want to make sure that your feet aren't sliding away. If you are on a carpet, try not to have too wide of a stance that your feet slide, okay? Have your feet slightly turned out. Soften your knees and lean down against your thighs and just rock from side to side. So you're bending one knee, straightening the other. Just starting to get a bit more stretch into the inner thighs. And if you can, flex your foot on the leg you're extending. This is a bit of a balance challenge. Do have your focus on one point in front of you and try to work within your own capacity, okay? If you feel this is too much of a balance challenge, keep your feet flat like this. And try to have your back flat, so you're not collapsing or rounding the spine. You're trying to keep the spine strengthened, the back strengthened. And then come back to the center, come back to stand, keeping this wider angle with the stance. Bring your hands to your hips and tip your hips from side to side. So now we're getting a bit more of a concentrated stretch into the inner thighs. And then come back to center, keep your hands on your hips, or you can place your hands on your low back, kind of cradling your back with your palms. And from here, we're going to rotate the hips in a circle. So push your hips to one side, move your hips forward, and rotate around. Make sure you have your knees a little bit bent so you're not feeling locked in the knee joints or straining in the knees. And then move in the opposite direction, taking that kind of like a hula hoop action with the hips. And then come back to the center and kind of shake everything out again. Roll your shoulders back a few repetitions. Stand tall. Feet hip width apart, parallel. Inhale, reach your arms out to the side and up. Stretch up, look up into the space between your hands. Lengthening up or opening up through the front of the body. Looking up, bringing the gaze up will help the spine to come into a little bit of a backward bend. And then bring your gaze forward, reach your arms out to the sides and down. Just gonna shake it out again. I'm just gonna keep moving. All right. And now step your feet apart. Come to a wide angle with the feet. I'm just straightening my mat out. It's getting a little wrinkled. Make sure you have a nice flat surface under you to work. Feet are wide and the toes are slightly turned out. Make sure your feet are anchored and then you soften your knees a little bit. Now this stance might be what's comfortable for you. We're going to be moving the feet and turning the feet. So when we make the next adjustment for alignment, if it bothers your ankles or knees or hips, then come back to this position. We can still work within that variation of triangle pose with the feet just slightly turned out. Now if you can, turn your right toes out and your left toes in slightly with your left heel kicked out. Now once your feet are aligned, whatever you're working with, place your hands on your hips again and tip your hips from side to side. So with the right foot turned out, we have a little bit more of an ability to extend to that right side, okay? And the next time you extend to your right side, you're extending the torso to the right. Pause, hold there. We're not collapsing to the side. We're trying to keep the spine long, the sides of the waist long. And then place your right hand on your thigh and your left arm behind your back to help your left shoulder draw back. So we're strengthening through the sides of the waist, keeping equal distance between the base of the ribs and the hips. We're stretching through the legs, strengthening through the legs at the same time, so there is that flexibility and strengthening component happening in unison. Try to keep your torso drawn back. So if you turn your head, your gaze should be right down at your leg. If you turn your head and you're looking at the floor, you may be hinging forward a bit like this. We don't want to do that. We want to keep the torso aligned with the leg. So work in a way where you can maintain that alignment and maintain your breath. Knees are a little bit soft. We'll just hold for a moment more. And then from here, bend your right knee to come out of the stretch. Take your leg out of the stretch, lift your torso up, bring your hands to your hips, turn your right toes in, and then step your feet back together. And just shake it out. And just pause for a moment in Tadasana, mountain pose, and take a moment to assess how you're feeling. And you may feel a little bit lopsided. We've done one side and not the other, so there might be a little bit of a sense of imbalance in the body. You can feel the areas that were stretched. And then come back to your wide stance. So a nice wide stance. Again, toes can be slightly turned out, or if you want, you can make the next alignment adjustment by turning your left toes out, the right toes in, right heel kicks out. Wherever your feet are being placed, soften your knees, bring your hands to your hips, and then tip your hips from side to side. So again, we're trying to create that ability to lengthen to the left side. So the torso is extending a bit more to the left, but we're not collapsing towards the front. We're trying to keep the torso aligned with the leg. When your hips are to the right and your torso is extended to the left side, pause. Keep the shoulders drawn back. Keep the knees a little bit soft. And that sense of extension through the torso, that space between the ribs and the hips. Bring your left hand to your thigh and your right arm behind your back to help that right shoulder draw back, right rib cage, right side of the rib cage to stay open. And then you can check your alignment by turning your head and looking down towards your leg. And you can either keep your gaze fixed down or you can bring your head back to face forward. So wherever you want to hold is fine, but maintain your breath. Maintain that sense of stability through the legs, that anchored feeling through the feet. And then to come out, we want to bend the left knee. Take the leg out of the stretch. Lift your torso up. Bring your hands to your hips. And then extend your knee. Turn your left foot in. And step your feet back together. And shake it out. Come back to stand. And then inhale. Stretch your arms out to the side and up. Reach up. And then look up into the space between your hands once again. Now this time take a little bit deeper stretch. So we're going to push the hips forward just a bit to open up through the front of the body. Realigning the spine here. And then back to neutral. Reach your arms out to the sides and down. Take a moderate step apart with your feet. Soften your knees and come into a gentle standing twist just to kind of wring everything out after that work. And relax those muscles along the spinal column. Twists are really great to relieve tension in the spine, but also assimilate what you've been doing. You're kind of digesting and helping that assimilation in the body. And then come back to the center, back to stand in Tadasana, and soften your knees, let your arms release. You can keep your gaze forward or soften your gaze, close your eyes, and take a moment to draw your awareness inward. Once again, connect to how your body's feeling. Connect to the flow of your breath. And after that short sequence, you may feel like your whole body has been affected. You're really present in your physical body. Perhaps there's a bit more of a sense of stability through the legs, a sense of extension through the spine. Observe whatever you're observing. There's no right or wrong. You may be experiencing different things, and that's okay. Allow your body to rest here, even though you're standing, and connect to your breath. And you can stay here observing as long as you'd like, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes and relax. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you enjoyed this gentle sequence with Trikonasana, triangle pose. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Namaste.